Hi everyone, it's Trishna. So with everything going on in the American political spectrum right now, I want to talk about something that I'm seeing coming up a lot in posts and a lot in conversations. And that is this idea of how do we move away from this two-party system that we currently live in into a system that allows for a third party or maybe even a fourth party. And I know this is a conversation that's been around for a while. It's been around for decades. But I think with everything going on in the political landscape right now, it's really coming to the surface. It's really coming into our awareness. And so I think it's really good that we're thinking about this idea. Now, the next question that comes up is, okay, if we have a third party system, what would that third party look like? What would that third party embody? Who would that third party represent? And how would that third party structure work? And I don't think there's a lot of clarity around that. I don't think there's a lot of answers around that. And that makes sense because if we had clarity, if we had answers, we would probably have a system that allows for that third party or that fourth party, much more than the system that we currently have today. So in this video, I want to talk about my conceptual idea around what that third party would look like, what that third party would embody, what that third party would really represent. So as you know, if you've been watching my channel, I really like to talk about a few concepts. The law of duality or polarity, as within, so without. I like to talk about time, and we're going to talk about all those three things with respect to the political system currently here in America. So first, let's talk about time. So it doesn't really matter where you live in the world. The whole global landscape is essentially obsessed with time. We all beat to the same metronome, the same drum. Every minute has 60 seconds. It doesn't matter where in the world you live, every minute is measured by 60 seconds. Every hour has 60 minutes, every day has 24 hours in it. And we're all beating to this drum. And then in our daily lives, in our work lives, pretty much anywhere that you work in the world, your work hours are probably somewhere between 9 a.m. and 5 or 6 p.m., no matter where you are in the world. And then in our personal lives, we still are obsessed with time because if we go to an event, we're checking the time. Am I late? Am I on time? Am I staying too long? Am I early? And so we're just obsessed with time and we're all beating to that drum all of the time. And when we think about that and we really pull that internally, we can see that there is duality even in our version of time. Because within ourselves, a lot of times, if you notice, we're either caught up in the past or we're caught up in the present. Or in the future, either in the past or we're caught up in the future. So if we're caught up in the past, we tend to find ourselves thinking about something that somebody said to us or that something that somebody did. And maybe it really rubbed us the wrong way. And maybe we're holding a grudge onto it. Or maybe it's shaping what we think we can expect from that person in the future. So we're really living in that past and really kind of letting it percolate in our brains, and we're playing the same memory over and over and over about that annoyance. And then that is shaping our future version of what we can expect. If sometimes we may be looking at our past and thinking like, wow, like I accomplished so much, and we may be stuck up living in our former glory, thinking that maybe we peaked in our past and that we can't expect something better in the future. So we tend to get caught up in the past sometimes or in the future. If we're caught up in our past, we even bring that into our future. When we're caught up in our future, we tend to think about all the things that we want, all the things that we can have, all the things that we will have, and all the things that will make us happy one day. If I could just get there, I will be happy. And that's why in the spiritual community, there's so much talk about the now moment, the power of the now, because now is really where your vibration is, and the now vibration is what affects the future. But that's kind of a different conversation. So what I'm trying to talk about here is within ourselves, the way that we embody time is still very polarized. We get caught up in the past or we get caught up in the future most of the time. We spend very little time in the now moment, in the present. And we talked about time on the global scale, now we've talked about time on the internal scale, and as within, so without. So we're polarized in how we view time internally or how we experience it or where our mind goes when we think about time or when we're thinking our thoughts. That polarity then gets extrapolated into our reality, where we have the Republican Party and we have the Democratic Party. The Republican Party, what's another name for the Republican Party? The grand old party. Old is about the past. What do Republicans tend to represent? Holding on to traditions of the past. Again, that's from the past. And in the Trump era, the big theme of it is make America great again, as if there was some time in the past that was really great in America's history that we want to bring back into the future. So again, it's really focusing on the past. When we go to the Democratic side, what's another word for a Democrat? A lot of times that Democrats are associated, or liberals are associated with the word progressive. Progressive is progression, it's forward moving, it's the future. When Obama ran his campaign, he ran off of this idea of hope. Yes, you can. Or yes, we can. In the future, we can. And hope, again, is something where we hope something better in the future will come towards us. So even in the political spectrum, we see that it is divided by time. And so that's where that third party fits in, is we're all getting really tired of having this either or option, of getting ping pong between the two sides, of being stuck in this polarity. We want to move out of this polarity. That's what people are looking for. And that's why the third party will be someone who embodies, or a party that embodies the now moment, the present moment. And when Trump got elected, there was a lot of questions, a lot of research done on why that happened. And what was discovered was there was a lot of the population that still felt marginalized. And that makes sense, because when you're really feeding on those spectrums that divide us all, but when you're on those two ends of the spectrum of past and future, you're missing out everybody in the middle. And that middle is the balanced side of the present, of the now moment. And as we're all moving towards 5D consciousness, as we're all starting to break out of this 3D matrix, it makes sense that we wouldn't want this polarization anymore, even in our political spectrum. Even if we don't understand it consciously, what we're looking for is that balance in between. And that is a really good sign. The fact that we're having these conversations is a really good sign that we're moving towards wanting to have balance, of wanting to be in the now moment and have representation that supports that and not the extremes. So I hope that this gave you some food for thought. I hope that this gives you some ideas of what that third party could embody and help stir that discussion, because I think it is a really, really important discussion to have. And there's not a lot of clarity on what that looks like right now, but I think if we really hold to what are the underlying principles, what is the underlying energy of what's going on that we don't want anymore, and that we're moving towards and that we are looking for, that can be the foundation that we build that third party, or maybe even fourth party, or even more than that, the foundation that will build what those parties will embody and what those parties will represent, so that it will be a successful third party and isn't one that ends up being divisive, again, like what we currently are in, which is what we all are trying to break away from. That's what the 3D matrix is trying to keep within, and all of us are trying to break out of, so we can get to that 5D abundance for all. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give me a like and a subscribe. Leave me a comment. What do you think? Does this help give you ideas? Do you agree, disagree? What are your thoughts? Do you see other spiritual concepts that kind of play into this whole duality and the party system? And I will see you in my next video.